What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial. I am Matt Milstead, and today we are going to be going over how to model a piston as well as getting it to drive using Expresso. As you know, Dave, about a month ago, did a tutorial on gears, and so I watched that one and was able to create a fully working engine, and found that the biggest problem that I had when creating the engine was keeping the head of the piston and the arm moving in the correct way. So I thought it'd be a pretty fun tutorial because we're really going to get into some fun Expresso. As you can see, this is kind of how we're going to have it laid out. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this. I'll show you how this looks right here. So it's got it moving in a pretty fluid motion. So let's go ahead and start from the beginning. Let's start a new composition or a new project. We're going to set up everything. Anti-aliasing, going to best. What are we doing? Output. We're going to go to HDTV 1080. And then let's go ahead and add some ambient occlusion, and let's add some global illumination because that's going to make it look nice. Okay, so let's start off with a cylinder because that's going to be the top of the piston. We're going to size this down a little bit, probably to right about there. That looks about right. Maybe a little bit taller. We'll do about there. Okay, now with this, we're going to need to make this editable. Let's go ahead and change the rotation segments to about 100. That way, because we're going to make this editable, we want it to be pretty smooth. So let's go ahead and duplicate this real quick. Hold down Command and move it down. And then let's go ahead using Alt-G, throw that into a null. And then we're going to call this ref. Because as you've seen on my previous ones, I like to make a reference folder anytime I am going to convert things to editable. So you can either hit C on the keyboard, or you can click this little button right here, and that will make it editable. So let's go into our lines, and I made a mistake, but that's all right. I wanted to do some height segments as well. So I wanted to do about 6 height segments. So I just Control-Z back, and now I'm going to make this editable again. So with these height segments, we are going to make the inside area of the pistons. I'll go back. So let's go into our side view, or our front view, and then let's go over to our point mode. Grab rectangle, and then we're going to unclick this, only select visible elements. We're going to highlight all of these and move them down closer to this one. And we're going to do the same with these to make them like that. Okay, so as you can see, we've got them about the same distance apart here. I actually only needed didn't need 6, I needed 5, but that doesn't matter. That extra one is not going to bother us too much. So now that we've got that, we need to inner extrude all of these. So let's go to face mode. We're going to do live selection, select, and we are going to do a loop selection. We're going to select all around here, and holding down shift, we're going to select all around there. So if you hit T for transform, and then hold down your command key, you will see that it brings it in quite a bit. I think that's it. Nope. Okay, so we don't want it to transform upon the, what is that one? The y-axis. We want it to just do the x and z. So unclick the y, hold down command, and then bring it in. And that should do exactly what we want. Okay. Now, in order to make your render look really nice, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and bevel these edges around. I've always been told that in real life, the more you bevel, the more realistic something can look. And I've found that to be very, very true. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our loop selection. We're going to grab here, 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 and here, but not the top. Now I've noticed with pistons at the top, they are very, very sharp. So we're actually not going to bevel that one. Then we're going to go to our bevel tool in Create Tools. And then this is the R15 bevel, and I love it so much more than I do the R14. But if you're working in R14, that's okay. I actually want, let's do about 4 subdivisions. And then we'll go ahead and bring that up, and that should look good. Now you'll see, let me see if I can just do a quick render real quick. It doesn't matter because I don't have a sky. Let's build a sky real quick and go ahead and go to our content browser. I put in my favorites, this HDRI right here, so that we can at least see, so that you guys can see what the beveling is doing just by having that little bit of bevel. Compositing tag, I'm going to make this so that it's not seen by the camera, so we just see the reflection. And then in this HDRI, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the last tutorial, where I'm going to create a layer, and I'm just going to kind of make this, bring down the saturation to give it kind of a black and white, and then make it a little blue. Because when I think of metal, I think of blue. Also, when I think of cold, I think of blue. So let's do a quick render on this, and already right now you can see the highlights around the edges. It's not too much, but you can see the highlights here without it even having a texture or a material on it. You can see little highlights all around here, and that's important. That's how you sell it. All right, so now that we've got that, that's the top part. Now let's go ahead and grab our reference cylinder, and we're going to bring that up here. Duplicate that, and then we're going to bring this down. Whoops. Bring this down, and then we're going to bring it over. Now you're asking me why. I'm sure that's all. What's completely on your mind right now is why. Why are we doing this? Well, this is going to be used as the cutout. I have a tendency when I'm modeling to use bools. So we're going to be creating 2 separate ones to use those as the bool for the cutout part of the piston. You can see right there. So go back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to group these 2 cylinders together. Alt-G. We're going to call these cutout. And then we are going to first save it because it's very important whenever you're doing bools. If it's got a lot of geometry, it can sometimes crash on you. I have not found that to be true necessarily in 15, but it could happen if there's lots of faces and intersections. So I'm just going to call this piston 2. Then we are going to go up and make a bool and throw both the cylinder and the cutout in there. Now we've got it backwards right now we need to do the cylinder on top, the other cylinder. And let's just go ahead and call this head. So as you can see here, it gives it a really clean, smooth look. And just to kind of, you know, for my own giggles, I always like to hide the new edges just so it kind of looks clean, even though I know technically, you know, it's not necessarily. And so with a bool, it's easy to remember A minus B. So head minus the cutout. So you can see here A subtract B. All right, so that's the first part. And then we are actually going to need another bool. And we could probably do this all in the same one. Let's create a cube. Because we're going to need to cut out right there in the center of the head of the piston, so that it can have room for the arm to move. So that looks good. Now let's just go ahead and throw this cube in with the cutout. And you can see that went ahead and did that. So that's pretty nice. That's looking pretty good. Now if we wanted to, like I said, in order to sell it, we could make the whole bool editable and kind of connect the objects and delete them, and then start beveling these edges here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like it is for right now. So we've got the head almost made. Let's go into this view, sorry. And now we're going to take another cylinder, rotate it so that we can create the cutout here that would be kind of the connector for the arm and the head. So we'll do that. Now we want to create another bool. And like I said, this is just the way I operate. I've found that modeling with bools is pretty easy. It's a good way, you know, at least this is the way I do it. You know, everyone is different. And I wasn't taught a specific way to model. This is just the way I really enjoy modeling. And sometimes you'll run into problems as far as render time. It increases your render time, but it makes it a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead and create another bool, and we're going to do this whole piston head, subtract this little cylinder right here. So throw that in, and then you can see now we've got a whole area cut out. Then once again, I'm going to do the hide new edges so that it looks clean. And now, for fun, I'm going to take this cylinder. I am going to take off the caps, and then I am going to bring this, nope, not bring it down. I'm going to make it a little bit past that side. And then I'm going to use the Explode Effects Deformer and throw that on there and make the time 0. And that did not work at all. Why did that not work? Oh. Whoops. Alright. Let's make this editable. And then let's try the explosion effects. Maybe? No? 0? That didn't work either. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and create a tube. Now the tube we want small, 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 small. And then we're going to throw this tube inside the center. We're going to do Shift-C to transfer that to the center of that. And that'll line it all up. Now let's make this the tube inner radius a little bit, and then the outer radius a little bit. And we can go ahead and get rid of that one. Rotation segments, let's go up to 100. Actually, no, you know, let's keep it at 36 because we don't have to, we are not taking it down to editable. We are not making it editable. And then let's go ahead and fillet this so it looks like a good bearing. That looks pretty nice. It's pretty good, I guess. Let's change the outer radius. Whoop. Too much. Let's split the difference. 8.5. No, 8.75. That looks good. Okay, cool. Now that is the first part. We have, let's go ahead and put these two together, and we're going to call this the head. You know what? The head, the tube is not a part of the head. Let's go ahead and do that. So we've got the head here. And now let's go ahead and make the arm. The arm is going to be what technically in real life would drive it, but not in our case because we are going to be using Expresso. Let's go into a right view so that we can go ahead and start making this arm. Now an arm, as you can see on the previous one I made, is circular up at the top and then square down at the bottom. So let's go into our piston, and we are going to go into our Bezier tool, and we are going to go ahead and just create a circle up here, almost a full circle. And then let's see, go down to probably about here and start making a square. And we can adjust this whenever, which we'll need to, of course, because that's not completely even. Duh. So move that up about there. Then we'll take that here and then close it off there. All right, that looks pretty good, other than this down here. But we can go ahead and fix that. Just go ahead and line this up. Want that about a little bit in. We're using this as our midpoint. So let's go ahead and bring that out a little bit. Bring it up. Then we'll bring this up to line up with that, and then we'll just make it about to the line. That way we can have a good judgment on where we want to be. We'll go ahead and make that even. Go ahead and make that to the line. And make this one to the line as well. There we go. That's pretty good. Let's actually bring these in a little bit. I'm going to hit the T, and I'm just going to move it in this way. All right. So we've got this. Now what are we going to do with our spline? With our spline, we're going to go ahead and extrude it. And it's the wrong way. Let's see. Let's undo that. And we will rotate it, I believe. 90 degrees. There we go. Now let's go ahead and extrude, go onto the extrude and rotate that 90 degrees. Now let's see, we need to move this. Let's move our spline to about there. Does it fit? I think it, no, it's a little too much extrude. Let's go to about 18. That should be good. And then we'll move our spline to kind of even everything out. That looks good. That looks good. Now, in our head, you know, we've got our cylinder. Let's go ahead and duplicate that cylinder. Bring it up here because we are going to use that as a bool for our extrude in a second. Now, with our extrude, we want to make it look a little bit more realistic, other than just a square area. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. Control C, Control V, and then we're going to throw the copy into our reference folder because we may need to come back to that at some point. So our extrude, we are going to make editable, hit C, then do the drop down and go ahead and connect objects and delete. Now we're going to go into our point mode, as you can see here, and select all. Then commands optimize. Now that should make it to where we can select the outside of our loop and bevel that as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the head here so that we can see just the arm. So we're going to go into edge mode. We're going to do loop selection, and we're going to select the outside. Let's see if we can do this with the other side as well. And then if you're working in R15, I don't know if this is in R14, go into slide, and then we're going to slide this in a little bit while holding down the command key. And that did not work for this side. So we need to select one side at a time. So we'll just go ahead and do that. 2.119 centimeters. Then we're going to do loop selection there, edge slide, and then 2.119. We can just hit enter. There we go. So we've got that. Now let's go to our face mode. Select the face here. Move around to the other side. Select the face here. And then hit transform. And we are just wanting to go inward with it. So we don't want our X and we don't want our Y. We just want Z. So hold down Command. Go ahead and bring that in. All right. So now let's grab our loop selection and then we're going to start beveling stuff to really sell this. Go into edge mode right there. Select this edge. Select this edge. Select this edge. And then bevel. Let's go up here. And then we're going to do that to about there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I love the bevel tool in R15. It has made my life a million times easier. Okay, now that we've got this arm, we've got the tube, cylinder, let's go ahead, save it real quick, and now we're going to bool out this right here. So cylinder A minus B, that looks pretty good. Then bool, I'm going to do hide new edges, so it just looks clean. Alright, so tube, bool, and we are going to group that together, and we're going to call this arm. So let's look at our arm and our head. Nice, that's looking pretty good. Let's do a quick render, see what that looks like. Yeah, you can tell the beveling really sells that. Alright, so now let's make the thing that's going to drive the piston, or drive the arm roundabout. We're going to take a circle, we're going to move that down, let's see, and rotate it 90 degrees, just for reference, because I know we're actually going to have to change it back once we decide to extrude it. Make this a little bit smaller, and then we are going to make this editable. And the reason we do that is so that we can grab this point right here and move it up to about right there. Now we're going to take the full circle and move it to about right there. All right, let's go ahead and rotate this back and then do our extrude. I apologize, I'm working in the wrong axis, so I need to, I have to keep on turning those things. Let's make the extrude a little bit less. Let's go to about 12, maybe 15. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take this extrude part, and let's go ahead and center the parent too. That way on our extrude it's the same. So we'll go ahead and turn this 90 degrees and we will put this in the right position. Okay, so we've got this one about in the right place. Let's go ahead and add some fillet caps to that. And then let's do it a little bit less. Let's do about 2 centimeters. And we'll do about 3. And then we need to go ahead and move that again. Alright, so we're going to take this extrude and then we're actually going to duplicate it and move it to the other side. So that gets right there. Let's move that close. Now if you were building a full engine, say your client wanted you to build a full engine, You may go into full detail and put like a couple of screws down here and make the this part bool out the circle in that part, but we're just trying to do like a proof of concept where we can get this thing moving and running. So, all right, so we've basically got our thing built. The last thing we need to do, let's go ahead and group these together. We're going to call these we'll call it the driver, I guess. I don't know the technical term for it. Actually, when I was first doing this, that was the first time I had learned what all the parts of an engine were. So, fun thing about doing 3D. Sometimes you learn new stuff. Okay, so we are going to create a circle, and we are going to bring down the size on that. That was way too much. Bring it down, rotate it 90, and this is basically going to be the thing that turns everything. What we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of circles, and we're going to scale that one up, and then make another one, and we are then going to loft the 4 of them. Okay, and then let's go ahead and duplicate that loft and move that to the opposite side. Throw that 180. Do that there. And if you continue, if you were doing like an inline 4 or something like that, you'll do the exact same thing, only with 4 of them in a row. So go ahead and group these, and we will call this gear. So actually, I believe on the front there is a big gear. So, all right, so we've got everything made. We've got everything modeled. Now it's just going about it and creating the Expresso to run this. So on our gear, we're going to add a tag, and we're going to add an Expresso tag. Now that brings up this. Now you'll have to pardon me because I'm working on a laptop. So we may have to flip back and forth because we need to be able to see this Expresso editor and also the Expresso attributes over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this gear, and we actually need to center it up with the circles. So let's go ahead and access parent 2, because that will then throw the axis there. And then let's go ahead and do it again, axis parent 2. And then, so now the gear, the center of it, while it's over there, that doesn't matter because the center is lined up with the actual center. So we're going to be rotating this way, and so that won't matter that we're off from the exact center here along Z. So we're going to go ahead and take this gear and drop it down here. Now another thing that we need to do on these drivers is we need to add a null. So let's go ahead and create a null object and drop it down into the driver. Now this null we're going to bring right down about to the point where the arm would connect. So centered up is fine. Let's go into a side view or the front view and make sure that's just about lined up perfectly. I think that's about right. Alright, because basically this null right here is going to be the pivot point for where this arm rotates. And the null, let's go ahead and drag this down to our Expresso as well. Because it's connected here, it's going to be giving us information. Basically, it's going to be moving up and down, and it's going to be moving left and right. So the up and down movement is what we're going to use in order to drive both the piston head and the piston arm up and down. And then the left and right movement is what we're going to use in order to drive the piston, make it swing left and right, and pretty much look like it's completely connected to this driver right here. So we want the driver here as well. And then on the gear, what we're going to do is we're going to go out of the gear. Let's see, we need the rotation. Let's see which rotation this is. Sometimes get these confused. Let's see, gear coordinates. This is the B rotation. Okay, and then the driver, this is also the B rotation. So we want the to go out of the gear. And this is basically like parenting. So the global rotation of B, and we want to go out, and we want that to affect the rotation of B. Let's make sure that is correct. So when we rotate that, and it's going the opposite direction. So on this driver, we actually need, I believe, to change our pivot point. Hopefully this is right. Okay, so let's turn that around, and then there, rotation B. So on the gear, there we go. That's what it is. We had the wrong axis on there. Go back to 0. Okay, so now that drives that. And then, as you can see in the driver, the null, when we run the gear, well, you can't see because I don't have it both connected, but that rotates as well along with the driver. So, now we want to take the, oh boy, the null, and we want to take the arm and the head, drop those down there. So we will go out of the null, the X and Y global, and into the arm and the head. But we need to add some math in here. So we'll type in math, and we'll do add. Because if we just go ahead and connect the global Y, it's going to throw it way down here, and we don't want that. So let's go out the global position Y into the input, and then out into the head of the global position Y here. Now you'll see it throws it down there. We don't want that. So what we're going to need to do is click on our math add, and I'm so sorry that this is just all over the place. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit smaller so that we can see. So we'll click on our math add, and then our input here, we're actually going to move this up to get it back to where it was. That seems just about right. Let's do 151.5. 151.2. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so I think we're going to have the same number on the arm. Let's go ahead and check to see if that is correct. To the global position Y. All right, there we go. Now, whenever the gear rotates, you can see that everything moves up and down in the correct way. Now, the only thing left we have to do is to get this arm to swing the correct way. Now, I may have messed up, and if that is the case, I will fix it. Because the arm, oh, nope. Arm is parented in the perfect, no, almost. Almost parented in the perfect spot. That's where we need it. So let's go ahead, and we may need to change our addition, but let's go ahead and center parent to, and then the bool, we are going to center parent to. Now, yeah, I do need to go ahead and change the position of that. So we're going to add another math here, and if you hold down command, go like that, then that should that will duplicate it. So we're going to do the input here, and then the output to the global position Y here, and we're just going to change the input to get it back down to the right amount because our anchor point was in the wrong spot. And that is almost correct. In between there, let's do 141.5. 141.6. There we go. That is good. So now the arm is going to be pivoting, oops, from this point right here, if I didn't have that on. There we go. Right here and here, which is what we want. So in order to do that, what we need to do is go into our Expresso again, and we're going to take the null and we're going to go the global position Z, because if you look on the null right here, the Z position right here is what we'll be changing. So let's go ahead and see a result so that we can see what the actual result is going to be, because we're going to need this as a reference. So when the gear is set at 0, you see the result goes to 0. Now let's change this gear to 90 degrees, and you can see that the null changed to negative 56,329. Let's go to 180. You can see the null goes back to 0. So what we want is a Rangemapper, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the basically the extreme left and extreme right of the way this driver goes, and we're going to turn those into degrees. So under our node, we want real, user defined, and degree. So under our parameters, what we want to do is we want to see this result, and let's go ahead and change our gear to 90 degrees, because that is going to be the furthest it is. I don't know why this isn't updating real time. It's weird. So at 90 degrees, our null is at negative 56,329. So here, our input, we want to do negative 56.329. And now our input lower is actually going to be the exact same thing, only positive. Now, we just need to find the output lower and upper. So basically, when it hits this input right here, which is this position, we want the arm to rotate along the P to about right there. I think that should be good. Let's do we'll do 24. So our range, we want our input upper to be 24. And now, if we move our gear to 270 on the opposite side, our null, as you can see, is 56,329, correct? The positive, and now we want our arm here to be 24 the opposite way. Okay, cool. Is that right? Negative 24. Okay. 24 here. It's 24 here, and it's actually negative 24 here. Whoops, what did I do? I messed up, and I put everything one space where it wasn't supposed to be. To input, keep that at 1. And that should be right. So now we are going to take our Rangemapper. We're going to do the global position input. And then on our arm, we're going to do a out of the output into here and then rotation P. So now you can see, hopefully if I did everything correctly, as this gear goes, it is not doing things correctly. Whoops, it's because I didn't do the rotation correctly. Rotation P. There we go. Now, when the gear goes, boom, we got the rotation along with the moving up and down. So, if we start from 0, it's weird that it's not updating like that. And then let's say we'll go to 45. We'll do 360 on our gear. Oh, not 390, 360. And then let's go into our timeline, select our gear, and then we are going to do repeats, 1 repetition. So we got 90 frames, and we'll see this thing move. So we'll go ahead and it's supposed to repeat that after. There we go. After repeat. There we go. And then we actually want to change this to linear instead of spline so that it looks smooth the whole time. And there you go. We have ourselves a nice looking gear. Let's make this 89 frames because I see 1 frame of jumping. There we go. Smooth. Okay, so we got that sky in there. Let's go ahead and put some chrome on here. So put some reflectivity. Under reflectivity, we'll do 100%. Color, let's go black. And under the reflectivity, under the texture, let's do a Fresnel and switch these. That should be good. Throw that on the gear, throw that on the driver, throw that on the arm. Throw it on the head. Now, let's see if we can get a pretty good render. And there we go. Got our nice little chrome piston right there. Now, if we want to go and we want to do some animation with it, kind of get a full range of motion of it moving, let's go ahead and make a camera. Set a keyframe here. Let's go to 90. Set a keyframe here. And you can see moving right along. Then let's go ahead and render that out. See what that looks like. Get your output to all frames. Alright, that has finished rendering. Let's go ahead and take this into After Effects and see what it looks like. See tutorial 8, render. Do it as a TIFF sequence, straight, bring this in a new composition. Let's go ahead and do half res. And then resolution, let's do half right here. Let's render this. Oh, that's nice. Let's see if we can do this full. No, still full. There we go. Oh, snap. That looks pretty good. Let's see what happens when we throw a little RSMB, just the basic RSMB. It'll take a little bit longer to go, but we'll get a little bit of motion blur on this. See how this looks. And there we go. A little bit of motion blur. That looks pretty good. Let the camera move. Alright, so there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I am Matt Milstead. This is Brograph, and thank you guys for all the support that you guys have been giving us over the past couple months. We really appreciate it. Hearing all the kind words that you guys have to say is just absolutely incredible. Make sure to hit us up on any of the social network sites. If you guys do some of these tutorials, we want to see what you guys come up with, which is totally killer. We would love to see what you guys do. If you're recreating the bottle or doing the mouth movements or creating the gears or even doing this piston one, I would love to see what you guys do. So feel free, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter and reply to us. Let us know. Give us a link to your video. We want to see it. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube. We're only 15 subscribers away from being able to do the Hangouts where we're doing the live streaming from YouTube. We really want to get that going, so make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have done for us. This is Brograph, the motion graphics tutorials. I'm Matt Milstead, and thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.